A story from ancient India goes like this. A few blind men gathered around and wanted to learn what an elephant is like. One man proudly claimed that an elephant is no different from a snake after touching the elephant's tail. Another man furiously objected. An elephant should be a kind of spears, he said, after the elephant's tusk pricked his finger. This left the remaining blind men fairly confused because all they felt was a big flat wall of the elephant's body. While this conflict in this Indian parable can be easily resolved with the help of a passerby who have perfect vision, but in our society, we still faces the struggles to understand many bigger elephants in this day and age. Social justice is one of them. The breadth and depth of knowledge about the world social justice requires in a person is unimaginable and intimidating that only a few of us have decided to set on the pilgrimage to pursue the entirety of truth and justice. And today I'm here to tell you that, no, I'm not one of those pilgrims. But in the wide spectrum of social justice, not everyone has to be standing on the edge of a new frontier to go conquer the unknowns. On the other side of the spectrum, I see low-hanging fruits dangling in the air, low enough for any one of us here to reach and make a difference. I say this because in Social Justice 101, we can easily examine the basic frameworks and fundamental procedures of how collective organized agents like the state or international institutions work, and identify where injustice or inequity is being perpetuated. Chances are, social injustice in today's city and the world is aggravating so quickly that any one small action from you or me can dampen it. Old wise books have told us social injustice have been around us as long as human nature exists. We are stuck in inequity because, number one, people are greedy. We always want more wealth, power, status, privileges, all for ourselves. Number two, people are lazy. We don't like change and we don't like to take the responsibility to change. Rigid rules and hierarchies in big fat institutions have created comfort and inertia for people inside it to stay incumbent. And number three, people are diverse. No one in this room or outside would share the exact same values or the exact same conceptions towards social justice because of the very different cultural, economic, political circumstances among us. Old wise books also tell us, even with these natural discrepancies, social justice is necessary and valuable in and of itself. It reaffirms the fundamental rights and obligations of human beings. It is also valuable as something that facilitates the stable and safe relationship between the society and its people. Think about the rule of law and public policies that are set under a just and fair framework. Given the enlightenment of history, throughout time, a consensus is built within the modern society that social justice needs to be present among us. And that is why slavery is abolished. First in the state of Vermont in 1777, and then more countries later. And US racial segregation is stopped in 1964. And across the continent in South Africa, apartheid 1994. Some of you here now may disagree with me on the degree of social justice that needs to be present in our society. It is okay. This is not central to our conversation here today. What I care about is, what if we found out that some parts in our society are not only morally defective, but they also face the problem of economic inefficiency and debt weight loss? And what if we realize, in the process of rectifying these problems, by the way, social justice can be restored at a relatively low cost. I can tell you, stories about concurrent injustice and inefficiency are happening all across the world. See climate injustice. Systemic use of solar, wind, wave energy are advocated back in 1970s. However, as of today, adoption rate in the third world countries is still 0. What a waste of technology. Our cute polar bears and the global human habitat suffered as a consequence. Take a look at food injustice. The odd problem of having too much nutrients in advanced cities and too little in less developed ones. Unequal food distribution has revealed our double efforts to cure obesity and malnutrition at the same time. And there is also education injustice, labor injustice, water injustice, etc., etc. Before we get overwhelmed by all these, let us take a step back and think for a moment. We need to recognize that things that kept us in inequity, i.e. greed, laziness, and diversity, are not absolute showstopper on why we need social justice. True, they may be difficult obstacles to overcome, but not insurmountable. So my theory here is, if I put this point in the back of my mind, and somehow I found a problem of concurrent injustice and inefficiency, I can actually spin that economic inefficiency bit into motivation or incentive and convince people to make a change. Because making this change can drive higher efficiency. This is a good leverage for us to overcome greed, laziness, and diversity. Now you must be thinking, this woman is born a social advocate? Well, yes, I am, and proudly so. But I'm also a banker. Bankers hate inefficiency as much as they hate money. And one thing I learned from my banking career is long-term greed. The desire to have as many good things as possible for as long as possible. And to me, social justice and economic efficiencies are both good things. So I kept my eyes wide open to look for where the greatest opportunities are. And then I met the Health Impact Fund. You see, health is a fundamental right where everyone should have access to essential drugs. However, in today's world, 1 in 3 people still die because they lack the right medicine. In developing countries, this rises to 1 in 2. My team in Health Impact Fund was shocked by this, and we pushed further to locate the inefficiency in our healthcare system that caused such injustice. And we found the injustice in government's balance sheet. Billions of dollars are wasted on litigations over medical patents and negotiation of those litigations. It is also in financial statements of pharma companies. More billions of dollars are wasted on competitive advertising, which adds very little value to our end patients. It is also in research laboratories. Terrible mismatch of R&D efforts. Price tags of blockbuster drugs can be artificially inflated 500 times, while critical medicine that can cure the mass population are abandoned on the shelf because their expected return on investments are not justified for further development. So our quick fix in Health Impact Fund for all of these is working towards the day that the government would say, we now would pay pharmaceutical companies money for their newly discovered medicine based on the effectiveness of the drug and the number of patients cured. With this new twist of game rules and incentives, pharma companies can actually earn more money, not from the patients, but from the government, if their new drugs are more effective and can cure more patients. Those companies who are looking to maximize their financial gains will inevitably maximize health gains for the society too. Right there, our solution immediately realigns effectiveness and justice as a win-win solution to the pharmaceutical companies, governments, and those whom we care most about, the patients. To replicate Health Impact Fund's formula, I would say it's easy, and everyone would just need to be like traffic lights. For those who have been to Dhaka, Bangladesh, would certainly know what I mean. When I was in Dhaka last June, I sat in this tiny steel cage attached to a motorcycle to commute throughout the city. Whenever we arrived at a main street junction without a traffic light, or with one, but no one really follows, our driver would suddenly become a kung fu master and steers his wheel so skillfully just to slip through the cars and other motorcycles that are coming towards us from left, right, and center. After an hour or so, we're still stuck at the same street junction. The main point here I want to make is, just like any well-organized traffic light system, we need to be systematically catching these junctions of concurrent inefficiency and injustice in our society. Then through new ways of collaboration or new ways of pooling resources, we can gently untie the gridlocks just like a traffic light and redirect the flows for the best interest for everyone. And that is really what low-hanging fruits of social justice are all about. We have seen plenty of clearly obvious opportunities lying around us, and that would only require very little effort to reform. Individuals like you, with careful observation and innovative ideas in your respective expertise, can contribute to social justice one at a time. It is your capability, and it is your responsibility. I know scoring a home run for social justice is impossible. But if each one of us here takes a small step and be the change we want to see in the world, I am sure many more good things would follow. Thank you.